Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. We're back on the block, and of course, it's time for us to discuss all things surveying. The whole idea is to ensure that you catch best practices as relates to the profession called surveying, and you can make good use of the services that they render. This is the benchmark. It comes to you every Fridays from 10:15 through 11 o'clock. It is an initiative of the Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria, Lagos State Branch, to ensure that everyone have a better grasp of how the profession works so that they can make good use of their services. You're welcome. My name is Victor Oteri. All right, then, so in the times past, we've been able to explore some subjects under the profession of surveying. Particularly, we've dwelt on the roles that young surveyors also play as our last focus last week. But today, we're going to be taking that conversation a bit higher. As we look at engineering survey. So you might just be wondering, what is engineering survey? And of course, what roles can surveyors play in this regard? What are the prospects of we having it right as relates to engineering survey? And what are the challenges confronting surveyors as they seek to make this aspect of surveying a very, very perfect one? All right, that's going to be the focus. But quickly, let's get back to the roads. The reported accident of a bus, that's the BRT bus that was fully loaded with passengers that fell on the side inside the BRT corridor while on motion at Moscow bus stop, I understand. That's along the Lagos Abeokuta Expressway inward to Shudi. Has been fully recovered, so the road totally opened within that particular corridor right now. Okay, so that BRT fell, but it has been fully recovered, and the road is now open for your movement. All right, then transloading. I understand there was an impediment earlier on too, an accident too that involves some levels of transloading. That's along the Lagos Badagry Expressway corridor, where we recorded that it's an overnight incident in What Mile 2. Yes, the incident of a falling loaded 40-feet container loading truck on Badagry Expressway by Dorba Junction in what Alakija. Well, so transloading is still very much in place right now. The Third Milan Bridge is slow in what Unilag Waterfront. What's the latest, by the way, with that one? Control room, you can keep us posted. And then Ikorodu Road is also slow and steady. Most of the areas, especially as you approach the construction corridor. Beyond that point, it gets much better this morning. Let's get to the focus of the program on the benchmark this beautiful Friday. And I did tell you that today we're actually looking at the broader dimensions of engineering survey. So we're exploring engineering survey, the surveyor's dimension. And joining me in the studios right now, our regular guest, Surveyor Agu Ogona Roberts, member Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, and he's the publicity secretary of the Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria, Lagos State Branch. Surveyor Agu Roberts, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor. It's good to be here again.
Yeah, it's been 7 days since we last had a conversation with you.
Yes.
Things faring?
Oh, good. Things have been faring well. We've been busy with our primary responsibility, which is solving geospatial problems.
Good, yes. Which is great. Yes. All right, so we have another great surveyor in the building, making an infrequent appearance on the program. Surveyor Nuruddin Akonde is also a member Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, and he's in the studio this morning. Surveyor Akonde, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
I know the last time you were here, that was sometime around, was that March or February?
Yes.
Yeah, so how have things been for you?
I thank God.
Okay, so
everything is fine.
Things are moving pretty well.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about this advocacy, because we're just about rounding off another bend for another quarter. Surveyor Agu Roberts, how have things been for the surveyors, especially for APPSN, Lagos State Branch? How's things been?
Yes, I must say that things have been very wonderful. Surveyors have been very busy. And this whole, the amnesty program that Lagos State is running has kept a lot of surveyors busy, because we are realizing on a daily basis that a lot of house owners and property owners in Lagos don't even have documentation on their
Especially the
property.
one that released the as built, right?
Yes, yes. So it's really a busy time for surveyors.
So
in the
your
States.
hands are full
very,
right now.
very, very full.
And what do you make of this advocacy by APPSN on radio?
Okay, it's needed. It's much needed, and it's coming. Even though it should have come in earlier, but better late than never. Yes, and it's really going a long way in educating members of the public, because over time, in the course of the program, we've realized that a lot of people out there don't even know the need for surveyors. They don't see how important it is to engage registered surveyors in most of their land transactions.
This is very, very true. And I need Surveyor Akonde to also add some kind of flesh to this. The roles that surveyors play in the built environment. Maybe you just take us through that one, so that people who are out there who are still wondering, well, we just limit what surveyors do. I just want to get a survey, that's all. So the roles that you guys play in the built space, in the physical and urban space of Nigeria.
Yeah. Actually, surveying, as they say, is the bedrock of all meaningful developments. So, for you to put up any development, you have to start with a surveyor, right from where you are when you are buying the land, before you pay for the land. Because if you pay before you call the surveyor, you might have paid for the wrong.
You mean it?
Yes.
So even right from the point where I'm conceiving to buy that land,
Yes.
I must get in touch with the
You
surveyor.
must get in touch.
Why
with
is
the
that
surveyor.
necessary?
That is necessary because there are a lot of land transactions that are very dubious in Lagos. So you need to get the right land, the land use analysis. So at times, when you say you want to use the land for commercial, it might be a residential area.
Yes.
So at times when you want to say you want to use it for residential, it might be an agric land.
Wow.
So you need, first of all, before you even get to building anything, you have to, once you have conceived you want to buy a land, the next point of call is a surveyor.
Okay,
And
so-
you have to be plain with the surveyor. This is what I want to use it for. So now, when we now get to the built environment, see, right from construction level, the foundation level, when you are talking about foundation, we have different kind of foundation. So let me just digress into
Yes.
an area you have not been talking about
Yes.
on this program. That is the piling. When you are talking about piling foundation, because that is what is most rampant, because in most areas the land is not even there again. We are now going on the water reclaiming. That's land reclamation.
Yes.
So now, if you do land reclamation and you need to build, let's say you need to build 5-10 story building on those areas, you have to do piling.
Okay.
So, and once you have reclaimed the land, it is not easy to see the demarcations. So you have to know, you have to involve a surveyor.
So a surveyor is needed.
Yes, right from the beginning.
Wow. For
So-
lands that are reclaimed.
Yes. So now you are doing piling. The piling is a very, very sensitive work
It's very technical.
where all professionals must be on deck.
Okay, so Surveyor Akonde, I need you to speak to the microphone very well so that we can hear you very well.
Yes, all professionals must be on deck.
Right.
We are not talking of quackery. I know how to do something. No. You have to, anybody that is engaging professionals, you have to see what is their qualification, which professional membership do they have, because that is what you are going to use to secure your own investment.
All right. So how do I now begin to identify who is a true professional? Because that's always the recurring question that comes in from time to time. So, Surveyor Agurobot, how do we identify those who are genuine surveyors, not those who are still perhaps or the quacks, as the case may be?
Okay, surveying, like every other professional association in Nigeria, is the information about these professions are in the public domain. So, as simple as going online to check the website of the registration council of these professional bodies, you can get a list of members who are duly registered. So for instance, you're engaging somebody and it tells you he's a surveyor and that he's duly registered. You can go on the website of the Surveyors Council of Nigeria and check for his name, check for his details.
Okay.
And then if you now come down to Lagos State, where we are, on our own portal for surveyors practicing in Lagos State, we have even gone beyond putting just their names. We have their photographs there. We have their office addresses. We have their phone numbers. We have their suffix, their professional suffix to practice in that particular state. So we have, put in enough details to ensure that the members of the public can easily identify if the person they are dealing with is duly registered or not.
All right, so they have no excuse any longer.
No, there's no excuse.
All right, so let's go into the focus of the day this morning. We're looking at engineering surveying. Surveyor Akonde, what is engineering surveying?
Yeah, that is what that's why I'm coming now in through the pilot. So these are the kind of surveys that requires much calculations.
Okay, just a second. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This is the benchmark, and of course, traffic across town is still good, but some areas it is building up gradually.
The mic is off.
His mic is not coming out well.
No, his voice is very loud, so I have to bring down the fader a bit. It's clipping, it's hitting red.
But it's not coming out very well.
Hitting red.
Except, let's go. All right, so Surveyor Akonde, you were trying to describe what as engineering survey is.
Yeah, so in engineering surveys, there's much calculations. That's where we calculate bends. We work with engineers in the engineering sector. It might be in the build environment, in the road engineering. We also, when we talk of mechanical engineering, surveying is applicable there too. So just mention any kind of engineering. So like the one I mentioned earlier, that's the piling area. So in the piling area, it is the piles, the location of the piles that will be designed by an engineer. So engineers are meant to design. It's the same thing as architects. They design. But surveyors are trained to execute those designs on ground.
All right, so what's the connection? At what point is the surveyor needed for engineering survey?
Right from the foundation. Right from the foundation. First, you are setting, you are building, you need to get the perimeter of the building, you need to get it right. Because if there is just I have worked on a building, and there was a time the engineer decided to remove the expansion joint. Wow. And he thought he has just removed it, he has cancelled it. And we had to take measurements after using my equipment. I know I use a world-class equipment.
Okay.
So after I would say, why would we be looking for 10 cm? I said, no, my equipment cannot make mistake. Then the engineer told me later that he has removed one of the expansion joint. I said, you can't just remove like that. You have to notify me. Because that thing you said you remove is still on ground.
Okay.
That space. So I'm just telling you, no matter how small, the accuracy you will need in the engineering is supposed to be very, very high. The measurements are supposed to be precise. That is why engineers cannot not just pick tape and say you want to measure. Which type of tape are you using? Is it standardized?
Right. So
it is the surveyors that are trained. Even when you go to advanced world, the position of all these lights in this building now, they are supposed to be determined by surveyors.
You mean it?
Yes. Where you put the switch, everything in the house is supposed to be determined by surveyors.
So anything that relates to measurement,
positioning.
Yes,
measurement, positioning.
Okay, let me hear from the agro robots as well.
It's so interesting because engineering surveying is one of the critical areas of surveying where estimations are not allowed. You
cannot estimate.
Yes, you can estimate. In cadastral surveying, you can approximate. 10 cm might not mean a thing in cadastral survey. Imagine 10 cm, just that's the size of the Masset ruler.
Right.
The size of that Masset ruler. It may not cause trouble in somebody's boundary encroaches into another person's boundary by 10 cm. It might not be an issue. But imagine that you have done your survey and your initial probably topographical survey, and the structural engineers have designed pile positions based on your survey. And then the project design document is now handed over to a quack to implement. And the person now looks at a design setback of 10 cm that was provided for by the engineer and says 10 cm is nothing, and he ignores that. That 10 cm, by the time you accumulate 10 units of 10 cm, you already have 1 meter.
That's right.
You already have 1 meter. So in engineering surveying, precision is key.
So
Precision and accuracy.
So let's take your assessment now. From all the engineering surveying or survey that you guys see around, how precise are we in Nigeria, and what is the level of involvement of surveyors? Surveyor Konde?
We actually appreciate some of our professional engineers. They do involve us, but a lot of them still, because of maybe the payment they want to give the surveyors, they will rather go and look for a quack
They'll do a short
that
cut.
is not a professional, and I'm telling you, you are losing a lot.
All right. So when you say payment now, so does that mean that perhaps your charges could be a factor here? Maybe cutthroat price?
No. See, when you are talking about doing things right, the charges is not. I don't see, not that the charges is much, because what you want to achieve, once you are able to achieve it, you see, most of these people, they think because the building doesn't collapse immediately. So these are things that will happen in the next maybe 10 years.
Okay.
So that's why they overlook it. So, but if you are building, once you see a building, you will know that they are professionals, because you will see the setting out, the edges, they will well straightened. This is not about the engineer using plumb. I've worked on a site on Isaac John Street in Ikeja here.
Right.
So where they have been using plumb, and they are breaking the columns, because until I told them that all these things you are using, my equipment can actually give you 99.9% accuracy.
So let's talk about those equipment now. Surveyor Robots, what kind of equipment do surveyors use, especially to have a precise measurement in engineering survey as well as dimension control?
Okay, there are a number of equipment that are applicable depending on the site, depending on prevailing circumstances on that site. But what readily comes to mind is the automatic level instrument. The automatic level instrument. That instrument, as old as it is a very intelligent equipment. You can't go wrong with your levels using an automatic level. And then there's also been a lot of modifications on the level instruments, where you now have the ones that operate with laser, laser emissions and all that. So you have your laser levels and all that. The total station is still very much handy when it comes to engineering surveying, because of its degree of accuracy in setting out setting out of points and lines and all that.
Right.
So it's
So how readily available are this equipment?
Oh, they are readily available. It's just that our economy has been very wonderful, so the exchange rate is really doing a lot of is putting a lot of surveyors on their toes in terms of acquiring equipment. But like we said last week, collaboration, the need for collaboration. You mustn't have all the equipment you need to work.
Okay.
Once you can collaborate with your colleagues who have this equipment, then you won't have a problem.
All right. So what does this really mean? What impact will it make, especially for engineering surveys that you both have mentioned now? If you were to get proper involvement for surveyors, what would be the overall impact of that? Are we going to be seeing reduced incidents of building collapse? Are we going to be seeing reduced incidents of road failures? What would be the impact of that, Surveyor Konde?
Yes, definitely. That is going to be the impact. The impact of seeing buildings with cracks. After 2 years, at times you see some buildings sinking. So you will see that those people, they are actually changed by themselves by not involving a professional surveyor right from the beginning of such buildings. So most of the incessant collapse that we see, you will see that is either they didn't do the right thing, they didn't involve the right professional, which are most especially at the bedrock. You will see you will recall sometimes in Oniru, sometimes ago, there was a 8-story building that did collapse.
Right.
So that story building, it was meant to be a 4-story building initially.
Wow.
Then they didn't involve a surveyor. So when they are calculating loads, so they thought it's just a calculation of load. What of the eccentricity?
What does that
Balancing it.
Okay, balance.
Balancing the load. So when you balance it, you see those columns, if you don't put it at the right center at times, the load will shift
Yeah, there won't be
to
even
another side.
distribution.
Right.
Because loads are calculate balance. So right from the center of the building, so it must be balanced to the left and to the right.
Yeah, so could it be a situation of, once building starts, people have this kind of view that maybe your work as surveyors is just limited for, to the point of you getting the cadastral survey. After that, maybe until when the building is concluded, that's when we need you again. That's why maybe could that be the reason? Maybe during the point of construction, surveyors are not there. Could that be a reason?
Yes, it's one of the reasons. Surveyors are supposed to be there on ground right
Throughout
from
the construction.
Throughout the construction.
Why is
right
that
from
needed?
the beginning.
Why is that needed?
That is needed to protect, because what you build is going to monitor anything that is going